Cockleshell Bay by Nanny Linda. There is a cabin in Cockleshell Bay which is handmade with wooden logs, where Nana Sofia lives a good life with her grandson Courtney and her 2 dogs. From the deck is a view worth $1,000,000 from sky to sea to shore, with seashells and dream catchers blowing in the breeze and a big conch shell by the door. There are 4 steps down from the deck to the beach and a ramp which runs alongside, with a gate at the top and a large handbell for visitors to ring when they arrive. On days when the wind howls and the sea rages on, Courtney sits on the deck reading a book, with Silvy and Natasha, the St. Bernard dogs, asleep by his side while Nana Sofia decides what to cook. Courtney uses a wheelchair, and as his legs are very weak, he doesn't get the chance to play. But he has great school friends and neighbours that like to come and visit for the day. In the summertime, to help strengthen his muscles, Courtney sits and plays in the surf, and Nana Sofia usually joins him when she has finished all her work. As Courtney is now nearly 10 years old, Nana Sofia trusts him to sit on his own on the dock. Sometimes he can sit there for hours with his binoculars, and he eats a packed lunch and goes home at 3 o'clock. "No later than 3, Nana Sofia always says, as you must do your exercises too. And if it gets chilly, don't sit there and freeze. Come home and warm yourself through." There is a path from the cabin down to the dock that was constructed for Courtney's wheelchair, but sometimes after a storm passes through, it can be blocked with debris everywhere. The days are now warmer and school holidays are here, and Courtney can go and sit on the dock every day. His passion is watching for Orca and spotting the dolphins jump and play. One day, while Courtney was sitting on the dock, an orca came into view. "Ahoy there, matey," said the orca. "My name is Onyx. Are you having a brew?" Courtney thought he was dreaming, but he was certain of what he had just heard. A seagull then flew in close to the orca's head, and she said, "Watch it, you silly bird." So now he definitely knew he wasn't dreaming. An orca was speaking to him. She then said, "Are you going to sit in that chair all day long, or do you fancy a swim?" "I don't swim, I can't swim. My legs just don't work," Courtney said, looking down at his feet. "Well, come on over here and sit on my back. Let me give you a little treat." So Courtney stripped off down to his Superman pants and crammed the rest of his clothes in his rucksack. "The water is cold," Courtney shivered as he crawled up onto her back. He held on to her fin as they sped along, the cold water splashing his face. Then there came alongside an orca named Moon, who said, "Come on, let's have a race." They sped off to the island, Black Gull Rock, which was about 2 miles from shore, then out and around and back again, and Courtney wanted more. So they all took off for another race, and Moon was in the lead. Onyx had the extra weight, so it cost her with the speed. Courtney was happy and laughing so hard as he gripped on so very tight and shouted, "That was the best fun ever! I'll never sleep tonight." "We had better get you home now," Onyx said, laughing. "Tomorrow is another day, and if we see you on the dock again, we'll have another play." Courtney scrambled back to his wheelchair and wriggled his wet body into his clothes. Then he waved goodbye to Onyx and Moon, and as he watched him go, he could wriggle his toes. He wheeled himself back to the cabin, and Nana Sofia couldn't believe her eyes. Courtney seemed so joyfully happy, such a lovely pleasant surprise. "You look as though you had a good day then," Nana Sofia said. "You can tell me all about it after dinner before you go to bed." The very next day Courtney went to the dock, peering out to sea, when out of nowhere Onyx arrived with her youngest daughter Dee. "Fancy another ride, Courtney?" Onyx the orca said. "We'll travel somewhere different today, perhaps around the coast instead." They travelled for about half an hour, then around into Puffin Bay. They passed Paddy Rowbottom in his fishing boat and made it swerve and sway. Paddy thought he was seeing things as Courtney went sailing by. He had drank far too much beer last night and thought that was the reason why. He gave his head a shake and then sailed on and knew he wouldn't ever tell his tale. Everybody would think that he had lost his mind. Sofia's grandson Courtney riding on a whale. Courtney, Onyx and her youngest Dee had a lovely relaxing swim. Courtney was kicking his legs in the sea, which was a first for him. When they returned Courtney to shore, he was so very tired after such a fun-filled day. The St. Bernards, Silvy and Natasha, ran down the dock to greet him, wanting to play. The whales were gone in the blink of an eye before Courtney had reached the dock, so he dashed for home with the dogs running behind, as it was now past 3 o'clock. Courtney dashed up the ramp in his wheelchair, laughing, then rang the handbell very hard. "I'm home, Nana Sofia. Sorry I'm late." And both dogs started to bark. Nana Sofia noticed Courtney's wet hair for the second day in a row, but she didn't want to question him now, as he was really beginning to glow. So as the summer slowly drifted by, every day Courtney went for his ride, and his legs were getting much stronger now, and at times he could swim by their side. One day, Mr. and Mrs. Simpson, Nana Sofia's friends, were strolling along the cliff top with their German shepherd, Ben. They looked out across Puffin Bay at the stunningly spectacular view when Mrs. Simpson turned her gaze away to say hello to another dog walker who she knew. It was then that Mr. Simpson had to look twice when he saw Courtney in the sea, and he was swimming alongside Orca whales very happily. "I don't believe it," he said with a gasp. "I can't believe my eyes. It's Sofia's grandson, Courtney, and he's swimming. Well, that's a surprise. And he's with some orca whales. There must be 3 or 4. In fact, now I'm using binoculars, there certainly are many more." Mrs. Simpson tutted and then rolled her eyes and sighed, then said, "I think you may have had too many sherries with lunch and your vision is compromised." Mr. Simpson scanned with his binoculars over the ocean, which was calm and flat. No Orca or Courtney could he find this time, so it was the sherry, and that was that. So as the days and weeks went on, Courtney seemed to bloom. All the fresh air and exercise certainly fixed his gloom. One day, while cooking Sunday lunch, Nana Sofia tripped over a dog, and she hit her head on the frame of the door. And quick as a flash, Courtney jumped up from his wheelchair and ran to help her back up from the floor. He then helped walk her to her bedroom so she could relax and have a little lie down. "It's okay, Courtney, it's not that bad," she said, "so you don't need to frown." Nana Sofia then let out a scream and put her hands on her head when she realised that Courtney had walked with her and had helped her to her bed. Courtney then sat on the bed and laughed. It was a miracle, so it seemed. Her grandson now was walking. It was just what she had dreamed. All that sunshine, sea air and sitting in the surf exercising in the waves must have helped to strengthen your legs, Courtney, just as I had prayed. "I do feel so much better," Courtney then replied, but he didn't dare to mention the daily Orca ride. Courtney still sits on the dock and waits for Onyx to pop her head out of the sea, and still wants to go for rides and see Moon and Onyx's youngest daughter Dee. But as summer slowly ended and autumn and then winter came around, he couldn't sit down on the icy dock. He wouldn't have been allowed. He was walking more and more now, getting stronger every day, going out to meet his friends and having a good long play. Winter turned to springtime, and once again Courtney was able to sit on the dock, when one day he heard a voice say, "Do you fancy a ride?" "Oh yes," he said, "but I must be home by 3 o'clock."